What's up, VC? Kieran, Needle Groove, back to share some records with you guys. Been extremely busy with work. Haven't had much time to listen to a ton of records, and I have a lot of records to go through from the summer, like I said in my last video. But I have been spinning when I can. Sometimes getting to work from home, like today after this video I'll probably get to spin a bunch of records. But I wanted to share, in my last video I shared the records that I had ordered online and picked up when I was in the States, and what I'm going to share today are the records that I bought while I was in the States. So in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Encore Records, picked up a bunch, and as well as another shop in Ann Arbor that I had never been to. And I bought a couple records in Toronto as well because I spent a couple days there. So let's get into it. So I have a big fat stack here. First record I'm going to show is not from the trip. I picked it up right before I left, but it's probably the record that I'm most excited about in terms of my recent pickups. Just in terms of the music itself, I love it. I didn't know it, and so far it's the one I've enjoyed the most probably, and that is George Ben, Africa, Brazil. Amazing album. Brazilian music, something that I hear a ton about, but I'm just not familiar with it. I don't really know where to start, and I know he's talked a lot about in the VC. And James Buttery, actually, when I saw this, I was like, should I got it? It wasn't cheap, it wasn't crazy expensive, but I was like, do I buy this? He's like, absolutely. So I did not hesitate, and this is not a Brazilian pressing, but an original Philips pressing from Argentina. So definitely check this music out. It's not the easiest record to find, but if you find the record, don't hesitate. And if you think you might like this definitely some funky elements in here, this Brazilian music, check it out online. So the rest of the records that I picked up, some originals, some reissues. I don't know, I was on vacation. There's records that I've been wanting originals of, but I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna buy reissues because they were there and I was on vacation. I was like, why not? So I picked up this Gration III, New Africa on BYG. This is a reissue. Still looking for an original, but when I listened to this online earlier this year, it totally blew me away, so I just wanted to have it on vinyl for now. Long spiritual jazz tracks that really moved me. Who do you have on here? Roscoe Mitchell, Archie Shepp, Dave Burrell, Andrew Cyril, Alan Silva. So interesting lineup here, and these reissues aren't expensive, the BYG ones. I also picked up one of the Brother Ah reissues that came out. So they released 3. I have the original one, the first one on Strata East, and then this is the later one on, what's it called? Divine Record, that's what I thought. So this one's from '83, Key to Nowhere, Brother Ah and the Sound of Awareness, and I really enjoy this record. A bit more accessible than the Strata East one, and very kind of worldly, spiritual music. Some vocals on here as well. Definitely recommend you check this out if it's your kind of type of thing. I know Tom FXP really into this, and we discussed it, and yeah, definitely one of the better records in terms of musically, for myself, that I picked up recently. I picked up this Hank Mobley Dipping. I had a cheap reissue that I had bought, when I first started to buy records. I didn't really know anything. This is an original, I think. Blue Note Records, USA, New York, USA. So this is in good shape. Don't see these too often around here. Original Blue Notes like this, in good shape too. This has Lee Morgan, who's my favorite. One of my favorite trumpeters, Harold Malburn, Larry Ridley, and Billy Higgins. So yeah, very happy to add another Blue Note original to the collection. Picked up this, haven't listened to this one yet, haven't gotten to it, but this is George Russell Sextet. This is an original on Riverside, and it's from the early 60s. I don't remember the exact year. I want to say 61. This has Eric Dolphy, Dave Baker, Don Ellis, Joe Hunt, and Steven Swallow. So the Eric Dolphy is kind of what sold me on this. Well, also the fact that it's an original deep groove on Riverside. It's in good shape and it wasn't expensive. So I'll take that. Original mono deep groove. So that's cool. Cheap one, McCoy Tyner, Song for My Lady. Haven't listened to this one yet. I collect, you know, whenever I see them for cheap, I grab these McCoy Tyners because the 70 milestone releases from him, you see them all the time and they're amazing records. The lineup on this: Sonny Fortune, Charles Tolliver, Michael White, Calvin Hill, Alphonse Mouzon, and Mutume. I know this is going to be dope when I get to putting it on the turntable. Picked up Stan Clarke, Children of Forever. I think I've listened to this, not since I got back, but I've heard it before. I'd seen it in a store here locally. And, you know, for a cheap price, this is really dope. You have Andy Bay on a bunch of vocals on this. This is from 73 on Polydor. You have Dee Bridgewater as well on some vocals. Chick Corea, Arthur Webb, Pat Martino, and Lenny White playing on here. Very cool. Stanley Clarke, Children of Forever. You know, usually Andy Bay is, can't go too wrong with that. Is he on this one too as well? I think he might be. Where's the lineup on this? I don't know. I don't see any vocals. I haven't listened to this yet. I know he's on another one of these. So this is Horace Silver, Quintet, Sextet. This is the United States of Mind, Phase 3. I have Phase 2. I'm just missing one of them now. So this is on Blue Note Records from the early 70s, 1970. And you have Cecil Bridgewater, Harold Vick, Horace Silver, Mickey Roker, Bob Crenshaw. And definitely recommendation. Shout out to Tom FXP who recommended these for me. Picked up this. This was originally shown by Secco Funk in a jazz funk video he made. Van showed this, and when I picked up some other of his records, Tom, you also told me to pick this one up, but it was definitely on my list. First time I see it, and I've actually seen it again since in the past month, but this is Hampton, Hodge Universe. Great piece of jazz funk. Listened to it again this morning actually when I woke up. Hampton Hodge is playing Fender Rhodes as well as some other instruments. Harold Land, you have Nugudu, however you say his name, on drums, and a bunch of other jazz artists. So this is on Prestige, I want to say 73, but I don't really know. Doesn't say. Early 70s. Could have been earlier than that. Oh, this is one I picked up in Toronto. Record I didn't know at all. Was really, really, you know, curious when I saw it, and very happy that I picked it up. It's not a record I have ever seen before. I've been buying a lot of Don Cherry recently, and this is not a Don Cherry record, but he's on it. And this is Johnny Diani Quartet, Song for Biko. And you have, I don't know the other musicians actually, but Don Cherry's on there. Beautiful, beautiful picture on the cover here. And great piece of jazz. This is on Steeplechase from 1979. This is this has to be, yeah, this is, I mean, originally from Denmark, but this is a US pressing on Steeplechase. But really, really enjoy this record. If you're into that kind of late 70s Don Cherry, kind of worldly spiritual jazz vibe, I recommend you guys check this one out if you can get your hands on it. One that I've seen posted in the VC and online, just like people talk about it. Very, you know, recognizable cover. You can't miss this one. First time I see it in a record store. This is an original Canadian pressing. I've listened to it once, but definitely need to experience this one some more. Very, very cool, very different. So this is Moondog. Look at that. And you hear, I've heard some stories, some crazy stories about this guy. So this is on Columbia Masterworks, and this is an original. This is Columbia 2i label. So I was happy to find this, something you see people talk about and show, but you don't see too often, or not around here anyways. So I was happy to pick that up. Figure that out later. This is a record from '87 from an artist I love. Don't usually buy records from that late, but I had heard when I started getting into more spiritual jazz about a year ago now. November last year, I would say, was when I really started listening to more of it. I discovered a song, which is a John Coltrane song actually, by Pharoah Sanders on this album, and it just absolutely stunned me. And that's Equinox, off of Pharoah Sanders' "Oh Lord, Let Me Do No Wrong." And there's not many copies of these around, but they're not expensive, and I definitely recommend you pick this up. Or just listen to it online. So that song really moves me, and I found it in Ann Arbor. So I said, why not? I'm gonna grab it. This from the same store actually as that Pharoah and Hank Mobley Dipping. I picked up It's Time. This is an original pressing of Max Roach, his chorus and orchestra, on Impulse. This is a stereo copy, so this is A16, one of the very early Impulse pressings, and I love this cover, and the music is dope, of course, and this is in amazing shape. And you have a lineup of here. You have Abby Lincoln, Richard Williams, Clifford Jordan, Julian Priester, Art Davis, and Mal Waldron. So incredible lineup. Not really much more to say about this. Just check it out. Very happy to find an original of this in pristine shape, full gloss in effect. This is one I kind of jacked off my cousin that I was visiting. It's actually what's playing right now. Nothing spectacular, but mainstream. David Young, his first album as a leader. Really cool lineup actually. Virgil Jones, Sonny Fortune, Richard Davis, Harold Mauburn, and Idris Muhammad on bass. There's some cool stuff on here. Some really good bass playing by Richard Davis. There's a drum solo. So yeah, nothing spectacular, but grabbed that from him because I knew he wasn't going to be listening to it anytime soon. Grab this, Undisputed Truth. This is, which one is this? Yeah, this is the self-titled one, Canadian pressing. I've picked up a couple of their records recently, so trying to get those early 70s ones. This is another one of the reissues that I talked about getting. Record that I hope to one day find an original. A lot of her, I don't have many Alice Coltrane records. This is Journey in Satchidananda, featuring Pharoah Sanders. I'm not going to say anything about this other than it is absolutely stunning. This is the type of music I really vibe with these days, and I'm not the only one. Just a stunning piece of work, masterpiece. So still hoping to find an original of this, as well as her other Impulse albums from this era, but don't sleep on that one. And this was, I actually picked up a record from this label that had like almost an identical cover a couple of years ago, and it was really dope. And that one was actually, it's a bit rare, well, it's more expensive. This one was cheap, but it's the same artist actually, so I picked it up. And there's some nice stuff on here actually. This is Rick Laird on Timeless, so that's from the late 70s, 77. And you have Joe Henderson on just a couple tracks, I believe, a few tracks, Tom Grant and Ron Steen. And this is actually produced by Joe Henderson. So Ron Steen, Rick Laird is the bassist on here. And so there's a lot of fat bass playing on this, which is dope. And some Tom Grant on pianos has some nice melodies as well. So if you see that for cheap, definitely a few little goodies on there. That's not even, it shouldn't be in this pile. This has a song that blew me away. And this is one that I was actually kind of meant to buy online before I headed to the States and just didn't get around to it. And this is Chico Freeman, The Search. And oh baby, this song, the title track to Search, 10 minutes and 50 seconds, with vocals from Val LA, however you say that, who's on nothing else based on what I can find online, but is absolutely stunning. This just knocked me off my feet, just gave me goosebumps. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking musically, but just the energy that they create and the feeling in this song is something special. And it definitely, being such a long song, 11 minutes, there's that, it's transition and it's different later in the track than it is in the beginning, but both moments, both parts are very spectacular. They really take you on a little journey. And the artists on here are Cecil McBee, Jay Hoggard, Kenny Barron, Nana Vasconcelos, and Billy Hart. So definitely, this is from '83 on India Navigation. Later Chico Freeman, but one that's worth seeking out for sure. Just if not just for that song, but the rest of the album's good too. And another reissue I picked up. This is, again, shout out to Tom FXP. He has an original of this, I believe. I was not gonna wait around for an original because I don't know that I'll ever find one. So this is Philip Koran and the Artistic Heritage Ensemble. Very dope record. All I'm gonna say is go check it out online if you don't know this, if you're into jazz. And I don't even know what year this is from, but it's definitely, oh, 67 this says. Interesting, I would have thought it was a bit later, but it's some spiritual jazz. Really cool, different. So that's it for what I picked up on my trip. I have still records to show you from before my trip, as well as records I've picked up since I've been back. So I'm trying to catch up. I'm spinning when I can, so I'm going to do that right now when I finish making this. Go spin some records. I've been watching videos when I can. Definitely been following a lot of the videos from Fred's 1970s series, the Gimme 10. I'm enjoying those. Not always commenting just because I'm really always on the fly, but I'll have it on sometimes when I'm doing something and enjoying everyone's videos. So take care and hope everyone's doing well. Peace.